Hello and welcome to Paxton Road TV for all your reaction. Tottenham, Manchester City 3, Tottenham Hotspur 3. What a pulsating game at the Etihad Stadium where Tottenham came back three times to earn a massive 1 point in a 3-3 draw. Joining me to analyse the game is the one and only Sam_Spurs for life. Good evening, Sam.
Good evening. Just adjusting
all right.
the camera.
Have you recovered?
Just about. Oh, my eyes are bloodshot. Everything. I'm just absolutely drained. That Kulusevski moment was like a Martin Tyler moment when the Aguero was back in whenever they scored that winner. It was like that for me. It's just madness. Yeah. Yeah, but you got to reflect on the whole game. You got to get over the excitement, the emotions, all of that. There's a lot to talk about, but I'm glad we didn't lose, and I'm fair to say it was a bit disappointing that we didn't get the win for some extraordinary errors on our behalf.
I agree with you. We'll dissect it as we go along. We'll dissect it as I think a lot of people will be saying it's a point gained. A lot of people like yourself as well will be saying probably should have won, had the 3 points in the bag. Man City fans will be saying they got robbed. They should have won that game easily in the first 25 minutes. And then the referees robbed them. I saw Haaland's reaction at the end and all the City manager and the players, and they weren't best pleased. I suppose we could say the referee saved us for once. However, wow, what a game. Absolute. If you're joining us now and you've just missed it, Manchester City 3, Tottenham Hotspur 3 at the Etihad Stadium in an absolute mental game. Please make sure you subscribe to PRTvSpurs and Paxton Road TV. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, come on here, have your say, because I'm sure there's thousands of fans wanting to have their say, and put it on there. We'll listen to you. We'll discuss it as well. But like I said to you, Sam, wow. So let's start off with, as you know, it's 3-3. How do you want to go then? Shall we just what shall we go with first? Shall we go with the lineup? Shall we go with how the game went? How do you want to do it?
Well, I was going to start with the lineup if you want, and kind of just work my way through.
Yeah.
Saw the lineup, wasn't surprised by it. It was pretty much what I expected. Basuma to come in for Højbjerg. Thought he would start Gill, thought we'd start all those players. Obviously, my disappointment was that Donnelly didn't start, but I have to say, in terms of what those guys are able to do, they did as much as they could do, and I'm talking about Ben Davies and Emerson Royal. So, I wasn't surprised with the start. As the game wore on, you're thinking to yourself, it's going to be tough first few minutes, but then, we get the first goal. And it's like, hold on, what's going off here? But it wasn't like we were playing decent football. I know City had a lot of chances because we were making mistakes, which led to those chances, and we'll talk about those in a little bit more. But at least we can say we can believe in what this manager tells us. If he says he's going to go toe-to-toe with City, he's going to do it. And there was no letting up. It wasn't the whole high-line things everybody was expecting and suicide football. No, it was calculated, because when we have possession, we have to push up. But there was a degree of luck today, because obviously City could have scored a hatful of goals in that first half.
Yeah, well, could have, should have, isn't it? It's going to be one of them where people are going to say City should have, could have, would have scored, like you're saying, loads of goals. But at the end of the day, we were resilient and we kept them at bay. You can't, if the players miss their chances, then so be it. That's down to them at the end of the day. We've got to take the chances. They've got to take the chances. And unfortunately, they didn't take the chances, and we managed to grab the points. I'm struggling at the moment, Sam, as you can see, to try and sort this slides out. So we're going to have to go without the slides. But let's go through the team then. So in terms of the team, he went with the same team as last week. Vicario in goal, Pedro Porro, Destiny Odeji, Davis and Emerson Royal at the back. Lo Celso, Basuma, and Johnson. I'm trying to go off hand here. Son, Kulusevski. Who have I missed out? Brian Gill.
So I can go through that. I've just pulled it up on here in terms of, you know, so we start. Oh, it doesn't give you an order. It doesn't matter if it's not in order, does it? But I'll just give the starting 11. So we had Vicario, Porro, Emerson Royal, Ben Davis, and Udoji. We then started with Basuma, Kulusevski, Lo Celso, sorry, Gill, Son. Who's the last player? Who have I missed out? I missed out one. Because this isn't going good, is it? Bloody hell. What I missed? Johnson. Of course. So that starting 11, you know, it's as good as we're going to get. It was surprising to see Richarlison on the bench. Richarlison was on the bench. And there was a number of players on that bench in terms of that lineup. So we had on our bench, and I'll just go through that. Skip, Højbjerg, Richarlison, Forster, Valise, Austin. So we had 2 goalkeepers. Santiago Alonso. I didn't even know we had a player called Santiago.
Yeah, I did.
and Dorrington. So you can see from our bench, there wasn't much options there, but it was good to see the youngsters on there. 2 goalkeepers is worrying. Whenever I see 2 goalkeepers on the bench, I'm always a little bit concerned about that. But it is what it is, mate. It is what it is. And we have to just thank. Last week we were disappointed in our forwards for not taking their chances. This week they did.
Yeah, 100%. This is it. And you know what? We say that we're not taking our chances. We keep saying that, you know, and then today we did. So, you know, we've got to give it. There's the team, Sam. There's the team. So, yeah, Vicario, like you said, in terms of obviously first 10, 15 minutes, Man City came out. They went absolutely at us. And at one point, it looked like it was going to be a rout. But they got the goal within the first 5 minutes. Soft goal to give away, in my opinion. And then Son gets the equaliser. Great bit of play. And a great finish by Son. And then, sorry, we took the lead. Son.
We scored first, man. I was going to say, we scored first.
I was going to say, yeah, sorry.
Right, so
yeah,
the goal was scored on 9 minutes. Sorry.
Yeah.
We're talking about the goal was scored in 6 minutes.
6 minutes.
Great
goal by Son. Absolute great, you know, touch and finish. I'm not going to lie. I was effing and blinded to say, pass it. Why have you passed it to Son? But Son loves to score against Man City. He goes and finishes it off. Then, obviously, the free kick. Now, Sam, we do this time and time again. We have got defenders that cannot defend. We've got defenders that cannot head the ball.
Now, what I would say about... Yeah, sorry. I was going to say about this goal, yeah, giving away free kicks, we have to be concerned about that. But this wasn't a defender's issue in terms of giving away that goal today. This was about the midfield. If you watch the goal back, Basuma, who was at fault, in my opinion, in all 3 of the goals that City scored today, and I'll go through that in a minute, he tries to flick the ball when he could have met it with a header. It went the side of him. It didn't go over the top of him. It went by the side of his head. That's inexcusable. Why are you trying to flick the ball? Because it would have created more problems anyway, when you could actually meet the ball and you still miss and it goes by the side. So then what happens when it comes off Son? It's one of them things. I think there was Diaz or someone else was in the box. They would have probably scored from it anyway. But that's the first criminality that we've got today. The first of many. Yeah.
And it was one of them, wasn't it? It was going to be to and fro. Attack, defend, both sides, because both teams love to attack and both teams can concede goals, right? They've spent some loads of money on their defenders, right? Guardiola does not look like the player that everyone's expecting him to be at the moment for me. I think I don't know what he's lacking, but it doesn't seem, I think they've got better options at the moment than him. For us, that first half, and I think Juicy's put it on there, first half was terrible to watch because every time, okay, we tried to pass it from the goalkeeper to defenders across the pitch, right, as we normally do. But you can do it with Van der Ven, you can do it with Romero. You cannot do it with Davis and Emerson Royal. Every time Emerson Royal got the ball, I was hiding behind the sofa, like David Clark was saying. His first touch was awful. And then he's trying to do, I don't know what he's trying to do. Play some samba football, I don't know. But defensively wise, we was going to be onto a hiding because we tried to play it from the back. City kept pressing. And how many times did they win that ball back from us? And then we were panicking. I think Poro had a great game. Destiny, I think half the time he was playing further forward than Brian Gill. And he wasn't giving any support at the back. So that encouraged City as well. But then that first half for me, the more it went on, it looked like City were going to press and get the goals.
Predictable. We're predictable in terms of playing that from the back in that way. Now, again, playing out from the back is a philosophy that I held as a coach, and I would always want to advocate that. There are times when you want to be able to play a direct ball if it means that you're in on goal, the defense is really high, and you've got a direct pass. So if you can make that first pass. Sometimes you can flick it out to your fullback in those wide areas. All the time, we just kept seemingly to play into those two centre-backs, both of whom I'm a little bit, oh, God, please don't. But that's how we're going to have to accept it because it's been doing this all season. Just because the players are different doesn't mean to say he's going to change that. I now know that that's not what Ange's going to do. If he plays Bill and Ben there, if he plays Lauren Hardy there, he's going to play playing out from the back. He is. It's juicing. I'm not messing about. If he plays bloody Bill and Bob and Ben on whatever the two brothers, the Chuckle brothers there, they're going to play out from the back. So we have to accept that.
Yeah.
And it's part of that sort of, well, are we doing that too much to give opportunities for teams? And I think we are, because teams can plan for it. And City did 12 shots on goal in the first half. They only scored 2. We were lucky in that sense.
Yeah. So let's break this down then, right? I'm going to go back to the possession and everything because we haven't looked at all that, right? We knew going to Man City, right? It was never going to be an easy game.
I've got some BBC stats here if you can't get them up.
No, I've got them.
Okay, cool.
Here we go. So 55% possession, Man City, 45% to Tottenham. For me, you know what? I was expecting 67, maybe at least 70% City. So you've got to give Spurs a hell of a lot of credit, you know, for 55% for City at home. These mans have not been beaten for how many times at home, right? They've lost 1. And, you know, for us to have 45% with a depleted team, brilliant. 18 shots City had, we had 8. And this bit, 4 on target for them, 4 on target for us, right? 10 corners, 8 corners. For us to limit them to 4 shots on target, right? Haaland, Alvarez, Foden, Doku, Silva, you name them, right? And they only had 4 shots on target. And we had 4 with what we've got. You've got to give hell of a lot of credit to Spurs for that, and Postecoglou and the players for a very resilient performance. Don't you think?
Yeah, I do. The shots on target, in a sense, could be looked at in 2 ways. You could say it's a good performance from us to keep them down to 4 shots, but then you could look at the fact that they had 18 shots, and a few of those shots were clear-cut chances.
Yes.
Definitely Haaland had 2 when he should have scored. There's one he blazed over, and there's one he went wide. And there was another couple in there where actually they could have probably taken more advantage of it. So the fact is, again, these numbers in terms of shots is always going to be the case for us. We have to hope that A, Vicario has a good game, B, the defense has a good game, and C, that the opposition in terms of their forward line doesn't have such a good game. And I think today that we had a bit of a combination of all 3. Like I said, I don't think the goals directly came from defensive mistakes today from defenders, more so midfielders. Again, do you want to talk about that, or are we still going to look at these stats? Because I just want to get onto the things that, frustrate me.
No, do you know what? We will look at that, because obviously that first goal, though, right? We're going to look at the first goal, right? You've got, for me, I know you're saying, you know, it's a dead ball, right? Fair enough. It is a dead ball, free kick. We should be defending that clearly out, right? That's 2 games on the trot now where a simple ball into the box and we've not managed to clear it. I hear what you're saying. Yeah. Basuma should be heading in it. Son is just unlucky there, but this is the problem when you don't have any height in. That's what's going to happen. The second goal, you've got to blame Ben Davies because he's followed the man, not the ball. He's not done anything, and then it's a simple tap in. Anyone could have tapped that one in, right? And you knew that was going to come because every time they attacked us, they were in 6s and 7s, the two centre halves, right? For me, I think Poro done very, very well, and he kept Doku. Once or twice, he had the best of him, but I think he had a solid performance as a right back. Overall, though, right? I'm just going to say one thing now. I'm going to say it now before we continue, right? Expressions needs to take that thing down now off his Twitter page. He's got on his pinned profile, he's got that thing about the chef is cooking Bisou chef, right? You know what? He really cost us the game today, yeah. He had done that pop-up shot where he served him, blah, blah, blah. Needs to go back and ask for all that equipment back, all them garments back. Because today, Bissouma nearly cost us. Every time he got the ball, he lost the ball hell of a lot of time. And like you said, and we can talk about it now. We're talking about him. He's to blame, if you're saying, for 3 of them goals. That last goal, what are you doing? You've got the ball, you've won it, simple pass. What are you trying to do? Absolute suicide. And they said it in commentary. They said it after the game as well. Absolute suicide. Why are you trying to complicate matters when you've got a simple ball to play? For God's sake, you're playing Manchester City. You've got 3 players around you. And what are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? And I think Postecoglou was that pissed off that he's taking him off. I don't think he's taking him off for an injury. He's taking him off because I think he's caused that 3rd goal and he's pissed off and he's just thought, do you know what? I'm pulling him off. What did you think of Bissouma's performance?
So, yeah, Bissouma played poorly today. He's come back from that suspension where, again, I don't think he played well in that game when he got suspended in it anyway. So he's not been performing at the level that we know. We know that he can perform better. I still think there is possibly an element of confidence with him. You know, when he seems confident, he seems to be able to do anything. He didn't look confident today. I think Manchester City put him under a lot of pressure, but usually he thrives on that. Yeah. Didn't seem to thrive on that today. Gave the ball away, like you said, a few times, and then his game doesn't get better, if that was what I'm saying. He did some good stuff. Don't get me wrong, it's not all bad, but it wasn't the heights that we've become used to now. Whether that's because he's not playing alongside Sarr anymore and Maddison, could be something to do with it. 2 better players, obviously. He's now playing with other players and maybe having to play a slightly different role, maybe having to play a little bit deeper. But the first goal, like I said to you before, that's nothing to do with ability. That's just straightforward rubbish. You know what I mean? You can head that. I know what you're saying, that we should have higher, but it wasn't above his head. It went to the side. That's one thing. The second goal, you can blame Ben Davies. Yes, he came out of line. But once somebody comes out of line, who were the first players to react to go into the space that was left? It was the City players. Watch our midfielders. Emerson Royal reacted too late, and Bissouma was watching. Yeah. They were in line together. They both should have went back with the City players, and then it would have been, you know, you got to fight. But it was easy to find Foden out in that position. So again, not to say it was all Bissouma's fault, but a collective not responding to things that are just there in your face. Spaces don't score goals, players do. I've been told that from day dot when I've been playing football. And as for that 3rd goal, we could have won that game. I thought we didn't deserve to probably... No, take that back. We deserved in the way we played to get a result, and we looked like we could have gone on to win the game at 2-2 because I thought City might have come a little bit more into the game, but they didn't. We looked like we were pushing for it, which is fantastic in terms of what Postecoglou set out to do. But no manager in the world can legislate for that. As much as you tell players, keep the ball as much as under pressure, do all this, he tried to nuts Rodri. Watch it again. He tried to nuts him. He tried to put it through. He could have played it round him. He could have played it long. He could have played it back. He tried to nuts him because he's one of them sort of players. It thrives on the confidence, but it wasn't there today. And then we saw what happened. It was a pass into the net. So we were lucky to get out of jail. Because it could have been on another day a lot better, a lot worse for us.
Yeah, and I think they said it in commentary as well, right? That this is Tottenham. You never know what you're going to get with them, right? You're going to they're going to come back from 2-0 to bring it back to 2-2, and then they'll commit suicide and lose the game 3-2, or they can end up winning the game 3-2. Once we got that equaliser from Lo Celso, and we'll talk about Lo Celso in a minute, once we got that equaliser, I'm not lying, I thought we could go on to win that game. Yeah, because I think Gary Neville said Spurs have just got the equaliser, and now City are going to win 4-2. That's what he said, right? But he said it looks like Spurs are the team that's going to end up winning this game, because the way they've come out after the second equalising 2-2. Then Basuma does that, and we go down 3-2. And you're thinking to yourself, just when we've got it into this, we've got a chance of winning the game, you do something like that, right? And you've already talked about that. We won't carry on. Talk about Lo Celso. I think I've been drumming him all last season, right? All last season and the season before. But let me tell you now, the last 2 games, he's been by far our best player. And today, what a performance. What a banger of a goal that was. And then straight after, when he, I think, hit the post or Ederson saved it. Do you know what? This guy is brimming in confidence. And we've got a player that wants to shoot from outside the freaking box. How many times have we been saying this all season? Somebody shoot, somebody shoot. This guy was, and he was wanting to fight as well. He was getting, I think I'll slag players off when they need to be slagged off, and I've done it. And I've slagged this guy off time and time again. But this guy, last 2 games now, do you know what? Keep him in January, because I tell you, we need this kind of a player. If he continues with this kind of performances, Bentancur stays fit, Maddison stays fit in January, they come back. I'm telling you now, with that midfield, with him in there as well, I think we've got a very good chance. So do you know what, ladies and gentlemen? I forgive him. And I've got to say, today, I think he was my man of the match. I think he was outstanding. All right, Kulusevski got man of the match, but for me, GLC.
The Celso's played well the last few games I've seen him play for Spurs. I think collectively the Wolves game wasn't the best performance, but I think, didn't he score that goal in the Wolves game? Was it Lo Celso who scored in the Wolves game? And then they won, didn't they, in the last couple of minutes with 2 goals?
Yeah,
I'm sure he scored that.
It was
again, it was a goal from outside the box. He took a shot, it got deflected, and it went in. Yeah, I remember that. So again, Lo Celso is doing things which is pushing himself into the position. He's been one of them enigmas for us. He doesn't seem to want to play for Spurs, but when he goes and plays for Argentina, he's one of the best in the squad. And he is. He goes to Argentina, it's like he's worldly. And that's, I've never understood that a player's got that ability. So we know he's got the equality. I think what's now happening, excuse me, of Lo Celso, when he used to come into the team before, he was probably realised, I'm not the first choice here. I'm only going to play a game. And his levels of effort weren't there. Yeah. And we'd see that he didn't seem to want to run for the ball. He was lazy. He was sloppy in his passing. He knows now that he's going to be in this team because he's probably our most creative player at this moment in time outside of Maddison. And he's playing like he's a player that knows he's going to be playing the next game, and he's getting better. We need players to shoot from outside the box, like we were saying today. And that goal, again, it was a great run by Son. So let's talk about the positive sides from Spurs today. The attackers did their job. Yes. They made sure that they pressed in all senses against the City back 4 or back 3, whenever it was a back 3. Sometimes they had Walker inside, and they kept them, as they say, honest. They made sure Johnson had the beating of that on that right-hand side when he was on the right-hand side, and then when he was on the left-hand side, it made sure that Walker couldn't take the piss. I wasn't going to say that, but I'll say it anyway. So the second half, it kind of worked for us when what's his name went off, when Gil had to go off. No, so it wasn't Gil. Who went off, and then we had to change the midfield because
Gil went off. Gil went off. Yeah.
That's right. So we changed it up, and that made Kulusevski come back onto the right-hand side, and that made Johnson go to the left-hand side. So that was a couple of changes in the game. I just think the Celso is a key component, but also Kulusevski in that number 10 role, he's looking decent in there as well. He's not got enough pace for me to beat the player 1v1, but he creates a lot of problems. And as for his goal, it might have come off his shoulder. It don't matter. The way he got up there, it was like,
But can we rewind? Can we rewind a couple of weeks ago when we was going through these teams and I came up with this stupid suggestion? Do you remember? And I said, why not play Kulu as a number 10? And didn't some of you went, no, don't think it'll work.
I've been on board with that. I've been on board with that. I have been on board with that. We can go back.
2 games.
I definitely.
Sorry, go on.
But I know you said that there was a, I remember we did a stream and we had a team in there, and then you said, you know what, we could put, I said, yeah, we could, but I don't think the manager did. But then we've had the circumstances, which has meant that his skill set, if you look at his skill set, what does he do well? He can beat his man quite easily when he's on the wing. Yeah. But he can't then drive on into that space like we can see with Johnson. But what he can do is trickery. He gets to the byline. You don't know if he's going to go left or he's going to go right. So you put that essence in that number 10 area, and you get a player that can do that. And if he can get a yard by beating a man, if he starts shooting from outside, he's another one that I think could score a lot of goals because he can jink past the player, have a shot. There you go. But I will say this today. The Celso, brilliant from him. Gil putting it in. Obviously, he was involved in that first goal. Remember, if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have got that first goal. But he does look like an under-18s playing men's football, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I'll come back to that in a second. Ben Spurs is saying here he was coming into a team who didn't want to play football before. Now he's playing higher up in a team, but that keeps possession. He's perfectly suited. Correct. 100%. He's now looking at that, and he's now thinking, like you said, I can now come into this team and take the Madders role. I can be the creative player, and I can get them going, because he was all over the pitch. He wanted the ball at the back, in the middle, and he was creating constantly. And I think him and Kulusevski and Johnson were giving so much trouble to Man City. And obviously, Son just loves Manchester City, doesn't he? He absolutely loves Manchester City. He loves to score against them. I think Son, in that number 9 role today, I think he done very well. Very well, because, you know, holding the ball up, passing it, moving it wide, causing the 2 defenders trouble. And if you remember, in the preview, I did say that them City defenders, if you have a go at them, they can be got at. And we got at them. Every team now, Liverpool got at them. Or Leipzig got at them in midweek. We got at them this week, and they don't like it, you know, and we're their bogey team.
And the thing is, if you can keep Haaland quiet to a sense,
yes,
I know that, you know, he's got all the goals he's got, but and it's funny because obviously he was not a goal scorer today, was he? But they still scored 3 goals against us, and Haaland wasn't on the score sheet. Yeah, but they rely on him a lot to score their goals, because obviously the numbers dictate that. So if you can, to a degree, keep him quiet, I know it sounds funny because today it wasn't the case, but you've got an opportunity against them because they're not finishing their chances. They had 18 shots on goal. Now, normally, a City team has got 18 shots. You'd expect them to score 6, 7 goals, 8 goals. They only got 4 on target, but they scored 3 goals. We have to say that we got lucky to a sense, but you only get lucky from playing the way that we do. Postecoglou said, I'm going to play the way I'm going to play regardless. 45% possession difference. You know, we took our chances today. The expected goals wasn't high for us, but doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
The other thing as well is just going back to Gil. I think, like you said, I think he's an under-18 trying to play into a man's team, right? But that opportunity, I think it was in the first half where we countered them. Son was in the middle. Yeah. Son went ballistic, absolutely ballistic. And do you know what? I do not blame him, because that was a simple pass and Son scores. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him at all. I've just gone.
What's happened here?
Hold on, give me 1 second.
Now you come back on the other side. What's going off here? Let's change that.
Where's he gone?
Anyway, I can't hear you, but I'm going to keep talking. So yes, people, we have to take the positives today from that result. There's a lot of things that we have to reflect on and think to ourselves, could we have, if we'd have had this, and we can look at that. I even think if we'd have had Benton Court today, that we'd have probably got a better result in terms of that. Are you still there, Sid, or you not?
I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, just hear me out then, yeah, because my camera's gone off, right? So I'm just trying to put my camera back on. So just bear with me for 2 seconds. But yeah, you carry on. I'm just going to try and sort my camera out.
No problem. Yeah, if we'd had a Benton Court today, I still believe that those couple of goals that was Basuma's at fault for probably might not have happened. But yeah, I still think they would have created a lot of opportunities, City, because they did create a lot of opportunities, and they did only take 3 of them. Next up is going to be West Ham.
Yeah.
Is it going to be the same team? Are we going to see that same defense? Would you say that the defense is solid enough to take us into West Ham?
No, Romero's back for West Ham on Thursday.
Woo!
So yes.
What about that?
So Romero's back on Thursday. So Romero will definitely play. It's just a matter now of who starts. It's going to be Davies and Romero, 100%.
Yeah, it's going to be Davies and Romero.
Yeah,
no,
it'll be Davies and Romero.
Of them 2 centre backs, Royal's the one that looks a little bit more uncomfortable, if I'm honest, receiving the ball. I think defensively he's probably stronger than Ben Davies. They're both not great in the air. I don't think they're both positionally as good as they could be, but I certainly think Ben Davies is a little bit better than Emerson Royal in that sense. So having Romero there, who's been a key component for our defence today of this season, Ben Davies being an experienced centre back, they should be able to work together communication-wise. They've been together in the club long enough.
Yeah.
But I still think we need to get a centre-back in January. Even though we know players might be coming back in January, whatever, we have to get a centre-back in January. If we're not going to play the youngsters.
I totally agree with you. But for the next month and the next 5-6 games, we've got to deal with what we've got. And Romero's obviously going to be the main man now. And it's just going to be who plays alongside him. Just going quickly back to...
Do you know what? Just a quick one on that. We had a bit of a discussion today earlier. Me and Darius actually talked about it. It could be that Romero could come back, and there's been talk. I think, it's been a discussion we had yesterday on the talking points. Dorrington's been seen quite heavily involved in the first team, as it should be, because he's obviously training with them. Possibly Romero and him, because I've heard he's a left-sided central defender. Romero on the right side, Dorrington on the left for a home game against West Ham. What do you think?
Listen, I'm all for playing youngsters, right? But the problem we've got is, as a centre back, it's more unforgiving. If he played in midfield, like Man United have been playing them youngsters, Newcastle have been playing that Miley in centre midfield, you can play him as a striker. But as a defender, right? Anyone would struggle with Davies and Emerson Royal playing with them, right? Even the top, you bring in any top centre back, probably would struggle with them too. However, when you've got Romero back, right, confidence, top defender, you can risk a Dorrington, because you know you've got a player next to you that you can rely on. He'll talk to you, confidence, and
particularly if he's got pace and a bit of height, because that's what we lack.
Yeah.
Pace and height, which Van de Ven gave us.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think it would work. But until you give him a goal, we will never know. And what's he got to lose? He's got nothing to lose, has he? He's going to actually play him at some point. Because
if Andrew's given these players belief, Sid, then he can give that player belief and say to him, it doesn't matter what you do. It's nothing to do with you. And that's what you've got to give him confidence to be able to make mistakes, because he will make mistakes. Every single player on planet Earth makes mistakes. It's how many mistakes do you cut out over time to be consistent is what makes the best players. It's less errors.
And I think the other thing you've got to look at is, does he then go with Romero-Dyer partnership? Because Dyer was out injured today. Apparently he pulled... I know what you're saying, but out of the lesser of the 3, if you've got Romero, right, we want Dorrington, 100%. But we know he's going to go Dyer, Davies, or Royal. Out of them 3, who you go with?
I was saying today, because of the fact that Romero couldn't play, I even said that Dyer could be a potential partner to play alongside Dorrington, only because of experience and because he's left-sided, in terms of Dorrington being left-sided and Eric Dyer being right-hand sided. Eric Dyer at left-hand side with Romero is a disaster waiting to happen. Romero doesn't play well with him. We've seen that in terms of the results. I just think we need to have a combination that works. Now, the combination that works for Romero is he can be the aggressor, but then he needs someone to be able to cover and have the pace to get us out of trouble. Someone who's a little bit less aggressive. Dyer is aggressive, but then he's passive. Then he's on the front foot. Then he's playing balls. He's all over the place, and that's why I think Romero's like, well, what is he? I can't play with this. I don't know what I'm getting. So you have to have a partnership that works. That's why it takes time. And you're right, youngster's going to be in a position of being unforgiving. But what else do you want to just keep on hoping that we outscore the opposition?
Of course, and I think that discussion we can have for the West Ham game on Wednesday night when we do the preview. But obviously, going back to the game today, overall performance, I think as a team, last season before under Mourinho Conte, we lose this game and we lose it badly. There's that belief now in these players. There's that belief because you got the manager who says we're going to play it one way and that's the only way I'm going to play it. Win. If I lose, if I get battered, I'm not changing it. Even when we pulled it back to 3-2, then 3-3, 2-2, he's not changing the way he's playing. He's not going defensive. He's going, I'm still going for it. I don't care. If I end up losing 5-2, 6-2, I don't care. And the teams behind that, and I didn't see one player head drop. All of them, I think, played well. Commitment-wise, you've got to give them all 100% because every single one of them, from the keeper to Son, 100%. Everything, right? A lot of mistakes, yes. But we've seen that time and time again. You'd think these players now would have learned that we cannot be doing this. But Suma, for one, needs to now sit down and learn because he's doing this quite a lot. Ball possession. And you're losing balls in silly situations. And we've always said, against a top side, you're going to get punished. And he got well and truly punished today. Luckily, Kulusevski saved him. I think Johnson's still getting better as more, I think he needs more and more games because that cross at the end, what a cross. What an absolute cross. You can say Kulusevski got in, buried it. But if Brennan Johnson doesn't do what he does and puts that ball in on a sixpence for him, then that goal doesn't come. So you've got to give Johnson credit. I've already mentioned, I think Højbjerg done all right when he came on as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'll take that back. I'll take back my years back because, to be fair, we were losing the game when Højbjerg came on. So, no, we weren't.
No, we was drawing it 2-2.
It was
2-1 down. It was 2-1 down at half time.
Yeah, we were 2-1 down. We were 2-1 down. Yeah, because we didn't score too much. So yeah, I think Højbjerg helped us to be a little bit more compact because we needed to be. They definitely didn't have as many opportunities because it was 12 shots in the first half, only 6 in the second half. So that came down. So Højbjerg has got a role to play if we need to do that. And that's the adaptability. He didn't change his philosophy, Ange. What he did was he realized, if I've got Gil, we're very open in this game. Because as much as Gil wanted to come inside and be that player, he's an under 14. He's an under 14, man. He's just getting... The wind was taking him. I'm surprised if it was snowing. He would have probably had to have been like that because if his top gets too wet, that's an extra half a kilo that he can't manage. So I don't know. We have to take the positives today because we came back twice against Manchester City and we didn't lose the game. And these players can now go into the West Ham game thinking, 2 home games, West Ham and Newcastle, thinking that we can believe and we can win any game of football.
I agree with you. And you know what? That's what he's instilled in the players, yeah? That you can play anyone. You can beat anyone on the day. Only problem is he's got to learn to defend. Get the players to defend. Because I still think we've got the worst record, right? So let's look at the league table then. Or maybe what is going on. You see, today when everything goes wrong, it's just gone ape shit. Right. We're not going to look at the league table. But I'll tell you how the league...
I'll tell you where we are. Go on. I can tell you if you want.
Yeah, you carry on. I'm having a nightmare today.
We'll end it soon. It's funny when you have a nightmare because I've had them. And it's not very nice, viewers. Anyway, the league table stands on as Arsenal played 14 games, won 10 on 33 points. Liverpool in second, played 14, won 9, drawn 4, lost 1, 31 points. Then Man City on 30 points. Aston Villa fourth on 29 points. Tottenham Hotspur climb up to fifth place on 27 points, having been sixth because of the Newcastle result. Newcastle on 26 points, Manchester United on 24 points, and Brighton Hove Albion on 22 points. And if you go down to West Ham, 21 points. So I would say the top half of the table is looking quite established. We're in and around where we should be. Put it that way. And we've got playing next. We've got West Ham at home, followed by Newcastle at home.
There you go. So again, right. So that result today, everybody was expecting Spurs to get battered. I said 4-2 to Man City. You said 3-2 to Spurs. I think Sean said 2-2, or did he say Spurs to win? And then there was a lot that was saying we was going to get a thrashing. First 15, 20 minutes, it looked like we was going to get a thrashing, but we didn't. Now, that point, how massive can that point be? Because all this, I swear these lot on Sky are coming up with all these records just for Spurs. We would have been the first team to go X amount of games unbeaten and then lose 4 on the trot. I'm sure they're making records, right, just for the sake of it, because it's Spurs. However, we've got a point out of this game, which no one expected. Is that going to turn out to be a massive turning point in terms of progressing? Because had we lost the 4th in a row,
hugely,
you know what I mean? And now we go to West Ham.
I think it was massive. That's why I said in the preview that I went for a Spurs win, because I think we had to get some sort of result. I just knew we had to get, just from a mental perspective, because we could have played really, really well today. We could have played better than we did, cut out some of the mistakes and come away losing that quite heavily. On another day, City could score 4 or 5 goals. We could still play really good, and it could have still been a hammering. Then going into a West Ham London derby in midweek on Thursday, it means the players have deflated, got to build them back up. We've only got a few days to build them back up, and then get your game played together. And then obviously we then got a game against Newcastle. So it was too much to have another defeat on our record. But we've got a good thing because we've got a result from losing position. We don't get them records at Sky trying to put us the first team that we would have been leading 4 games and lost. And I think the players now, if they don't believe now, they never will do. They never will believe. So that's all I think as fans. All we have to believe that whatever the manager thinks that we need to do, we might have. I've still got my doubts about sometimes having that many opportunities against us. But come out 3-3 today.
I think I agree with you. Every single team will probably look at Spurs and think, you know what, we're going to get the chances. We've just got to take 1 or 2. Yeah, if we're Spurs are at home, we take a chance. If we can get 1 or 2, then it's the pressure on Spurs. If we're away to teams and they get the chances, they put them away, it's going to be tougher for us to come back. Although today at City, we've done great to come back and earn a point. So,
good thing though, the positive thing is though, in terms of that, and I agree with you that teams have always got opportunities to score against us, but we've scored in every single game this season. So that's a good sign that we'll always have goals in us, regardless of who's playing, and that's a positive. So we have to hope that we don't sustain any more injuries to our forward players, because we are literally on bare bones now. Bare bones.
We are, and there's going to be a lot of. I wonder what Postecoglou's asking for Christmas then from Santa. You know, we've conceded the most goals now, right? Us and Aston Villa have both conceded 20 goals. 20 goals apiece. And then you got Arsenal 11, Liverpool 14, Man City of 16, Newcastle United 14. So we've conceded 20.
To put that into context, Everton have conceded 20 goals and they're in 18th place. Yeah, I know they've had points deduction, but they've only conceded 20. Forest have only conceded 22 and they're in 15th place. So it can't continue this, how many goals we're conceding. It can't continue if we're going to be successful.
Yeah, exactly. So, as Juicy's saying here, that draw now puts the win back into our sails. I think it does. Because that is a confidence booster. And I don't care, you know, what people, whatever they want to say, but I think going into that West Ham game, had we had lost 4 on the bounce, there would have been a lot of pressure and hell of a lot of pressure on Postecoglou and the players to get a win at West Ham v West Ham at Spurs. But now this 1 point puts the sail back into our team. And the confidence, Romero coming back as well, I think it's going to be absolutely massive. Right, so overall then, Sam, sum it all up for me. And are you looking forward to Thursday?
We have to take great comfort and also excitement from the fact that we went and did what we said we were going to do in terms of, well, I say we, and Prosper went and said he was going to do what he was going to do as being the best way to try and beat Manchester City. And we could have done that. We also could have been on the hammering, the other side of a hammering. But this is the way we play football. I'm excited by what the future holds, and I really want us to get our better players back sooner rather than later. I hope now that we've had that run of games, that the next couple of games being at home has that ability to take us over the line. We just can't afford any more injuries, and we do need Santa to bring us a couple of centre-backs if he can. That's my summary for today.
Do you know what, right? What I was going to say is, but before I say what I'm going to say, Ben Spurs is saying here, and we had this discussion with my boys when I was watching it. Pundits talking about Man City penalty shout and that Haaland through ball that got pulled back. At the end of the day, that's the referee. Referee's admitted it. He made a mistake, right? But I still think Grealish could have been caught because Royal stopped, and then I think the other defender stopped. So our sweeper keeper would have come out and took Grealish out anyway. However, what was your thoughts on the Guardiola tackle on Skip? In real time, I thought that was a red. VAR didn't even look at it, and they said, no, it's fine. Again,
I don't remember that tackle. I don't remember
that was Romero. That's a red card because he's gone in on Skip and his foot is high. It's a high challenge, right? He slid in, yeah, but they're saying he's got the ball. But
I'll have to watch that
now
one
it goes back to Romero. If that was a Romero challenge, would that have been red? If you haven't seen it, Sam, go and have a look at it. And I agree with Ben. It should have at least gone to VAR, and it didn't even go to VAR. The referee just brushed it aside and said, no, it's fine.
Well, them being the home team, you would expect them to get the rub of the green in that sense. I know VAR shouldn't be looking at rub of the green. It should be looking at matter of facts and overturning the ref if it's a clear and obvious error. If it wasn't a clear and obvious error by the ref because he missed it or whatever, then we have to go with what they go with. VAR's got it's fallible anyway, but we just have to go with what it is. It's worked for us in the past, and it's not worked for us in the past. It's not going to work for us in the future, and it's going to work for us in the future. We just got to go with these decisions sometimes.
Yeah. So my final thoughts then, I think, you know what, absolutely magic performance today. Lo Celso came up trumps. I think Poro done well. Some play. You know what, the front. Like, we discussed this the other day, didn't we? That the front line has to deliver, and I think today can't fault any one of them. Gill maybe a little bit, but the rest of them, you cannot fault them. They put in a shift. They gave City something to think about. Midfielders.
Quick question then.
Go on.
Let me ask you a quick question whilst you do your summary. Richarlison looks like he's now back, although Ange said he was only fit for about 5 minutes worth. But obviously he's going to be getting fit. Does he take Gill's place straight away, do you think?
I don't think it does, because when I heard the pre-interview before the game and they asked him and he said he's only fit for 5 to 10 minutes. I think with that short in depth that he's probably said to Richarlison, mate, I might just need you for 5-10 minutes. Will you be able to do it? Now, whether he's doing what everybody else is doing and lying and playing mind games, I don't know. But I don't think he starts on Thursday because it's a West Ham. And I think Postecoglou's looking at the long run. Maybe Newcastle, he gets half a game and then the week after. But I don't think he starts on Thursday. I think he goes with the same team.
I agree.
Boring. And I think the problem is, for me, it's Basuma. That's the problem. That's the problem. Yeah. Does he start with him, or does he start with Højbjerg, or does he start with Skip? That is my issue. I think Basuma's.
I think
it's a dodgy one.
I think Basuma, you have to take it as he had a bad game today. It wasn't a good game.
Yeah.
And that of the two players, who's better fundamentally? Basuma's a better technical footballer than Højbjerg is, and he can do more on the ball for us. And I think he's probably more athletic to be able to do more in defensive areas anyway. It was a bad day at the office. So we've all seen players have had bad days. We had Son last week. He had a poor day at the office, but I think he played really well today. Was all over the place. So players can come back, and I think down to the manager to make sure he puts in that confidence. But I think he's got to start with Basuma.
Yeah, I agree. He will. But the problem is, again, today, and I don't know if you saw it, but Basuma seemed to be the only midfielder that we had, because amount of time City attacked, or Kulusevski and Lo Celso were so far up. Basuma was the only one in that middle, and there were so many gaps in there. And West Ham as well, they like to play football with Souček and, Bowen, yeah, and all them lots. So it's going to be an interesting. However,
Paqueta.
Paqueta.
They've got, and again, if we're looking at the West Ham game, and it's very quick on that, David Moyes is one of them tacticians. He's not going to be open. He ain't coming to our place, knowing how we play football and going to open up against us. 100% he's going to play a certain way. So I know how West Ham are going to play, but West Ham are good at doing what they do in that sense.
Of course. They're disciplined side, and they'll stick to what they've been told to do, like you just said. But for us, I think going back to London, very positive the players will be. We've gone to City. I know we're their bogey team. And a few people were texting me saying, if you had your full team, you would have beaten City. I 100% agree. If we had our players,
if we had Bentancur today, we
win that game. 100% we beat City, because City, there's something not right with them. It's just not clicking. And I think they were there for the taking. However, we got a point. So we move on now to Thursday West Ham game. And it's a point. Kulusevski, well done for getting that equalizer. And I think he said in his interview at the end as well that we could have gone on to win that game. So a lot of positives.
What it does make for the West Ham game, sorry to interrupt, I think the West Ham game is now a must win.
Yeah.
Because you have to now back that performance up with a win at home against a team that's in and around you, that you are better than, even with these players in there, because they've got injuries as well.
Yeah.
You have to beat West Ham.
Exactly. So Spurs 3-3 at Manchester City. Son, Lo Celso and Kulusevski. Thank you for everyone in the comment section. Thank you for all your comments. If you haven't already subscribed, make sure you smash that like button and just give us a follow, because we'll always be here no matter what, win, lose or draw. We are Spurs through and through. Sam, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I don't know if there's going to be a talking point. It might. Judge Jodi will be doing her player rating. We'll be back as well on Wednesday.
Obviously, because the game's Thursday, isn't it? Yeah, so it's going to be
game's Thursday. We'll be back on Wednesday with a preview show. So have a great evening. Enjoy the highlights tonight. Spurs with a magnificent 1 point and a 4th consecutive defeat avoided. Now let's go on for the next 4 or 5 games and get back to the winning ways. And let's come back and let's be Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Have a great evening, and we will see you next week.
More developed football, more developed football.